Ladies and gentlemen, film freaks of all stripes and all the ships at sea, welcome to this week's episode of Video Ferox, where I'm here with my close personal friend Bruce Lee and his son Brandon, of course, because we're doing Bruce Playtation Month. And this week, what are we doing? We're going to be watching Bruce's Ninja Secret, or Secret Ninja, or whatever the hell this name of this. The one at the bottom, not the top one, because that's Chinese Hercules. Let's roll the trailer, and we'll get right to it. Alrighty, that was not the trailer to Bruce's Secret Ninja, because I can't find the trailer anywhere for love nor money, not on all my compilation discs, not anywhere. So that was the trailer to Bruce's Deadly Fingers, where most of the footage that is in this movie came from originally. And we'll get into that, motherfucker, so there's a lot here to unpack. Alright, Ashley, did you like Bruce's Secret Ninja?
This is a fucking flaming dumpster fire of a piece of shit. So I'm gonna go with kinda, sorta, but mostly no.
Did you enjoy it?
No. Did not enjoy it. I thought it was too fucking recycled. It felt like a Thomas Tang, Joseph Lieh, Frankenstein. I can't honestly say I liked it. No, sorry, I didn't like it.
I cannot in good conscience recommend this movie to anybody because it's just this incoherent train wreck of a movie. However, I actually kind of got some pleasure out of it, even though it's this complete bastardization of... I think this movie was originally a mashup of Bruce and the Shaolin Bronzemen and Bruce's Deadly Fingers.
You know you're in trouble right away when the scenery goes from this tropical paradise to this obviously not kind of urban landscape that's completely different from the other footage. I mean, even if it was shot in a different part of the Philippines, there's something intrinsic about the look of the Philippines based on the way the natives built their buildings and laid out their roads and stuff.
Well, and the movies were 2 or so years apart, and so Bruce Lee, 1E, his hairstyle changes radically in between shots. So continuity? There's no continuity whatsoever.
And it's kind of weird because I had no idea. I thought, oh, this is a different part of Hong Kong I've never seen before, but then all the people look like they came from the tropics or somewhere. And I was like, there's a lot of brown-skinned people that don't look like they're from Hong Kong. Oh, I get it. This is like one of those Malaysian-type films or something.
Go watch Bruce versus the Bronze Shaolin Bronzemen. Go watch Bruce's Deadly Fingers over this one because both of those movies together, I think, are superior. And this one, as a hybridization, you know...
It's too bastardized.
Bastardized, yeah.
It's all over the place for obvious reasons, and that's the first thing I knew deep down in the recesses of my skull was that this was one of those kinds of movies, like Life of Ninja.
What the fuck is it with the Philippines and Kung Fu dwarfs? Okay, let's just get into the spoilers. We gotta get to that thing.
Damn you all to hell!
So given the Frankenstein nature of this movie and the complete incoherence to the plot, any sort of critical analysis is going to be thwarted because that's an impossibility on the thing. So why don't we just work our way through the movie as a stream of consciousness, and I can just tell you my notes as we go, because I ain't got nothing fucking productive to say about this movie other than, oh my god, what the hell's going on?
All right.
All right, so we start out the movie with Bruce Lee, and he is doing this martial arts in front of this waterfall. And he's, a little training, and they throw the credits on there. And his old master comes up and says, "Hey, Bruce, come over here." And Bruce is like, what's up? And it's like, take this half of this silver coin, and I want you to take the silver coin to Master Leo, and he'll give you the other half, and then you can find some secret treasure. And Bruce is like, absolutely, let's go.
And this is a typical, it looks like it was shot in Chinese and in China somewhere. His master has the typical white hair and the long ponytail and a bun or whatever.
He doesn't go full Pai Mei, though.
No, not quite. But, it's a typical trope. So Lee ends up suddenly, tonal whiplash, where the hell are we? Some country road somewhere in the tropics, walking along, and he comes upon these pair of guys that are, it's like a pair of guys or a trio beating up this guy that's just walked out of this restaurant or a little corner store with some food.
And he's got like this gallon of ice cream or
Yeah.
something, and he's like just eating it, and these dudes just come up and just out of nowhere, it's like, hey, I'm going to take your ice cream. And they start taking their ice cream and hassling him and stuff like that.
And so he whips these guys' ass. They go run off and go get their boss.
And we then see this gang that is, how shall I say, they would look out of place on the set of The Warriors. They were that weird.
It's a typical kind of, back road, suburban or country gang from some, no backwater island. And so they come in, they start hassling Lee. And of course it's on this big, nice, wide road, so there's lots of, you can get epic about it. And some good shot placement in this. And so Lee goes in, and the leader is kind of this mustachioed, kind of just really over-the-top asshole. And Bruce comes in and starts whack, and crack, and the yeah! And all that stuff.
It's, oh my God, I can't,
silly.
It's silly. I mean, this whole fucking movie is just ridiculously silly. We haven't even got to the Kung Fu Dwarfs yet.
Right, and the only thing that holds this together is Bruce Lee, the Korean Bruce Lee. He's a really good martial artist. I mean, he's got good, solid moves, and he doesn't need stuntmen to do the stuff. He can tumble, he can do, all kinds of shit, side kicks and all that.
The fight scene between him and Lo Lieh is actually legitimately good stuff. He like wrecks house for like 100 dudes. And of course he's wearing the tracksuit at this point. He's got like weapons. There's like story beats that have this flow and narrative to it. And then he gets to fight Lo Lieh. And it's like, Lo Lieh's obviously a good kung fu fighter too. So that whole, probably about 15 or 20 minutes fight scene is actually legitimately good stuff.
I mean, when you want a good fight scene, you don't want to get a bunch of dancers because, for one thing, the dancers, they're going to do what the types of guys like that did, which is a lot of really florid movement all over the place, but also they tend to either be really slow or they're not doing actual martial arts. They're doing slick moves, but any actual martial artist can just move in and in a couple of seconds lock them down and keep them from fighting. Because one thing about martial arts is to prevent fights. And so an actual martial artist knows how to get in, grab, and then detain, which is what a responsible martial artist would do. Here, we obviously have a guy who's like a butt kicker, and he's going in with an agenda, to get this other half of this coin to find this treasure.
Let's throw a spotlight on one other dude. So in the Bruce Lee versus Lo Lieh scene, there's this one dude. Bruce Lee has a friend who shows up out of nowhere, and he's wearing the white turtleneck, and he does like this double nunchuck thing. He's actually really good.
This is the guy, this is his best friend from Deadly Fingers. This is his best friend who he comes home to, who's, they go out to get his sister back from the gangsters. This is from that other movie. This guy in Deadly Fingers hooks up with a Chinese kind of like Interpol guy to defeat the bad guys in that film. But that plot line is completely ripped out of this. This guy appears instead completely separated from that movie, but his scenes with the double nunchucks are still in there.
You'll be like, who the hell is this dude? Why is he here? And who is he? And why is he kicking ass? You just ignore that and just go with that the dude is actually pretty skilled with the nunchucks.
His martial arts skills are pretty solid. I mean, for doing the double nunchucks like Bruce used to do, I would actually be interested to see more stuff he's in.
The movie is set in the Philippines, and we can tell this because when Bruce Lee walks into the main town, there's a welcome to I don't remember the name. It was like Jakarta
It's like
or
a
something.
Kiwanis sign or
Kiwanis,
something,
yeah.
or-
Oh, the Kiwanis sign. I want to talk about that. So as the opening credits are rolling along, they're driving down this winding mountain road thing, and there's this big, I mean, there's probably 50, 100-foot tall giant lion's head. And then I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. And then it comes around to this other side, and you see, oh, yeah, welcome to the Kiwanis Club or something like that. And it's like, okay, so it's an ad for the Kiwanis Club that you get outside of every city in America, but in the Philippines, and 100 feet tall, and it looks fucking great.
I thought, what the hell? Is this a movie set, like from some other movie? Or was this going to figure into something? Did they construct this specifically for that? Or is it an actual national landmark? I'm getting the idea it's probably a landmark from some religious order or something that put that there.
The director, Joseph Kong, he has a great eye for like the landscapes and stuff. There's a couple of shots that I want to praise a little further on down the line that I'm like, hey, this guy's really good. And so what he probably did was he was just scouting the area, said, hey, that's a really cool statue. Let's figure out how to use it. And so it's just a 10-second as he's driving by shot.
Yeah, but it's spectacular looking. I mean, it really adds some interest to the opening. It's just too bad the rest of the movie kind of...
After Bruce whoops some ass, we cut to this girl and her old man father. And the old man, he's like, I'm very worried about you because after I die, who will take care of you? And I'm so old, I'm so ancient. And I'm sitting here watching this. I'm like, bitch, if you're 50, you're fucking, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, Mr. I'm 55.
Oh, God. They get old and wizened, right? Yeah, I got the glued on, eyelashes or whatever. It's funny.
And of course, the old man is like, well, back when I was in World War II, I had some secret treasure, and then I buried the treasure, and then I put it on the back of a coin or something.
And there were 2 other guys involved. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy was part of the Japanese army. He was with under Togo at the time, and so naturally them losing the war was a big dishonor. So in order to save face, whatever they had, they hid. And so the 2 other guys that are involved in hiding the treasure, one of them runs the gang, and the other one is over here, and they all want to get to the treasure first, to get whatever power they can from unearthing this thing. So the gangster who runs the gang, he sends a group of thugs out to get Lee, who's come back home, and the old man wants him to go, and get, they got to get this piece of the coin together. And so in between Lee searching for the treasure and then the gangsters searching for it, there's a whole bunch of shenanigans. I mean, they send these guys in to get Bruce. It's an entire gang of like a rogues gallery. And some of them are these dwarf guys. There's about like a half dozen of them.
Oh my God, we've got to get to the fucking dwarf guys. So, yeah, well, the first time we run into the dwarfs, it's with Mistress Kung Fu. And so you've got Lo Lieh, and he's the bad guy, and I think he's like a triad or something like that, and he's like a mobster, I think. And he's bad guy 1. And then you have bad guy 2, which is Mistress Kung Fu, and she is this...
She's a dominatrix almost. Most of her gang are women.
Yeah.
And she dominates all the guys. I mean, she whips the shit out of them. I mean, she's got like deadly kung fu skills. She's European, like Russian or something. She's got a compound. She's got all these servants that stand by and watch her beat these guys to death.
She has midget servants as her assassins. And so take, if you will, Ron O'Neal from, all the blaxploitation movies, and you zapped him with a shrink ray.
And giving him a large mullet that goes down to his butt.
And give him a large mullet. That is the head midget for Mistress Kung Fu.
It's not what you'd expect. Obviously, these guys are for stealth missions. I mean, who would expect guys this tall to have like martial arts skills? That's why she sends these guys, because they would be underestimated.
Yeah, but tiny Ron O'Neal has a large dude who is carrying him around like he's fucking Master Blaster.
It's freaking ridiculous. And so Lee has to go up against these guys, and they intercut the stuff from the fingers, deadly fingers. They take a lot of the footage from that and intercut it, and it's about like 40 minutes or something like that, or 40 or 45 minutes, and this is only like a 100-minute movie.
If this movie gives you one thing, it gives you nonstop ass-kicking from end to end. Where Bruce Lee, he's just walking along in this kind of pavilion thing, because there's like this obelisk thing, and this dude comes up and says, you've got the coin. I want the coin. Give me the coin. And it's like, I'm not going to give you the coin. And these guys fight for quite literally 10 minutes. And I like timed it out. It's about a 10 or 15 minute fight scene. And then they just up and stop. And Bruce Lee's like, we both know Kung Fu. We don't need to fight. And he's like, you're right. And they both walk away. What the fuck?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, if it didn't make any less sense, it would be probably an actual Thomas Tang or Joseph Lai movie. I mean, I got so backwards with this movie that I think I stopped it at several points because I said I actually fast forwarded the stuff I already knew and just got back to the rest of it. It's like, otherwise it doesn't make any fucking sense.
And then we get the other scene with the Kung Fu midgets. Okay, let us just sit here for the next 22 seconds and please enjoy this scene of insanity. Okay, I'm totally confused on the flow of the movie, but I think after that scene, after he gets done fighting Lo Lieh,
He fights the dominatrix.
he fights the dominatrix on the beach. Oh, right. They were the beach girls. And so here, the dominatrix, Mistress Kung Fu, catches up to Bruce Lee and is trying to lure him to his side, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so they're on the beach and they're walking along and they're talking about the treasure and whatnot. And it's this long shot, and then she starts freaking out, runs up into the sea, and Bruce Lee's like, what the fuck's going on? Goes to rescue her because she's starting to thrash around and drowning. But oh no, it's really a whole bunch of ninjas in the water that leap up out of the water. And I'm thinking, okay, this has been like a 5-minute scene. They have no tanks. Have they been holding their breath the entire time? What the fuck?
It's kind of like Chinese super ninjas where the ninjas are walking along on the obvious backlot set, and there's these ninjas, they're under these reeds and whatnot, and they jump out in reverse motion to kill the super ninjas.
Yeah, but at least that had no connection to reality.
Yeah. Whereas this is supposed to be based in reality with real physics, more or less.
Now, I will give this movie and Asian cinema in general that it's unusual for action stars to beat up females and vice versa. So the fact that he takes on a ninja squad full of females and then has a showdown with Mistress Kung Fu at the very end of the movie, okay, it's like, hey, your movie's kind of shite, but, good for you.
Yeah, and it might be actually more common in Asian cinema than it is in any other places. But yeah, I mean, maybe things were changing at that point.
So yes, this movie is more or less just a non-stop ass-kicking extravaganza, except for the times where it slows down to give you more plot exposition. And the thing is, I don't know what the hell they're trying to say. This plot exposition makes no sense. It's like, here's more details that just muddy the water even further.
And they just went back to ass-kicking because everybody loves a good clean-in-house movie, especially if it's done really well. You can forgive a lot. I mean, if you're the moralistic type, all you want to do is just unwind, sit back and turn the brain off and just watch something good. Then watch another movie.
Because this ain't it. And then Tiny Ron O'Neill, God, I almost called him Ron Jeremy. Tiny Ron Jeremy. There's two words. The actual hedgehog. Wow. And then Tiny Ron O'Neill, he kidnaps Bruce's sister.
It's supposed to be a sister, but this is the bit that's so damn confusing because the stuff from Deadly Fingers has Bruce actually called Kong or Hong or something like that. Bruce Hong comes back from America after Bruce Lee is... One thing we have to clear up here. In Bruce's Deadly Fingers, Bruce Lee is a real person. He's in this universe. He made a bunch of movies. This guy is a Bruce Lee imitator, comes back from America. People know who he is. And his sister's been kidnapped by this gangster who wants to make her a prostitute. And her boyfriend begs her to be a prostitute for this guy because he needs to make some money back. He's in hock with this gangster after some screw up, and he says, if you don't do this, they're going to break my legs. And so basically they take part of this plot and put it in the movie.
Sure, I didn't get any of that from this movie. I just was watching tiny Ron O'Neal beat the hell out of Bruce's sister. Anyway, so he absolutely just lays a bitch out. And then Bruce is like, oh, this can't stand. And so he goes and starts to fight the midgets.
The old man and his daughter are at their apartment, and the bad guys come for them. The midgets come, and they bring some full-size thugs with them to shake these guys down. And the old man's not going for it. He's not having any of this bullshit. So they kill both of them. They say, waste them both. So they get gunned down. And then Bruce comes home and finds his people dead. And that is the equivalent of breaking the jade pendant around Bruce's neck.
And so that's where we kind of get our towards the climax.
Where they have to get the treasure, and at this point,
the treasure! So the treasure that was buried in World War II was in fact about 3 feet down in a racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they buried it in a place that they figured nobody would ever find. It's like, wait a minute, there's a place here. There wasn't there before. It had gotten built after, the end of the war or something like that.
How does this... But it's 3 feet down! Somebody would have noticed when we were building the racetrack! Somebody would have noticed it as horses ran past! Why has this not been discovered for the last 20 years?
Gangsters, secret pact, who knows? Ways to keep things secret. That's the problem with this movie. Common sense out the window.
My brain hurts. Anyway, so Mistress Kung Fu, she has her men show up and beat the hell out of Bruce Lee, or at least try to. And we get another 10 minutes of ass kicking as he's running around the grandstands and running away from the ninjas.
So Bruce comes and they finally dig up this shit and they put the coin together, and it's supposed to reveal, some hidden truth kind of thing.
And then the box was empty. The fucking box is empty. They get it open. They get the box away from the track, and after they beat the bad guys, and they open it up, it's like, there's nothing in here. And like this policeman shows up and says, oh yeah, I knew about that ages ago. And that treasure belonged to the Indonesian people. I gave it to the nation. And Bruce Lee's like, what? And here I looked at the counter on the timer for the movie, and I'm like, we've got another 15 minutes to go. The plot's resolved. What the hell are they going to do for the remainder of the movie? Oh no, Mistress Kung Fu, she's all like, yeah, well, I want the treasure in the box. And Bruce is like, dude, there's no treasure in the box.
You don't even know what it looks like, so how are you going to get it? If it belonged to the people, then the entire nation, you're going to have to fight everybody in fucking China to get this treasure.
And so, after all of this ass whooping, and Mistress Kung Fu and Bruce Lee, they fight. And she's like, give me the treasure. And Bruce is like, I ain't got no treasure for you, baby. And she's like, well, fine, we'll fight. And they Kung Fu fight. She's actually not that bad. The scene's not terrible.
Oh yeah, I mean, they were matched up really well. I mean, she has the domination thing, and he's kind of providing, defense and backing up, and kind of like, I'll defend myself if I have to, and she just moves in with her kicks and whatnot, doing her thing. And I love the fact that after Bruce whips all the ninja women, and they go in that they just the gloves come off. There's no need for pretense anymore. They just.
And there was this one line, oh my God, the dubbing in the thing is insane. Okay, well, I mean, the dubbing in the thing's insane anyway, but there was this one line that they inserted in here where after he's about to go fight Mistress Kung Fu, and there's these other women hanging around in her compound, and they're like, how dare you come here? We're going to fight you. And he's like, no, I don't fight women. You go now. And I'm like, what? You just beat the hell out of like 8 women, and you're on the way to beat the hell out of another one.
Yeah, like we said before, tonal whiplash. I think maybe they edited things out of sequence, possibly. So, or if they didn't, then it comes off as really backward and stilted. Because, I mean, you've done all this shit already, so why are you going to go back on your word kind of thing and do a complete reverse? I mean, that's not what a martial artist would do. They just move in and say, I'm going to do what I got to do. Just move out of my way, don't want no trouble, but if you get in my way...
They fight Mistress Kung Fu. She does this little with the needles thing again and stabs him in the chest, and he's like, what the fuck? But before the chi gets affected or he gets poisoned, he grabs it, whips it out of his chest, and flicks it straight into her eye. And she just rolls around the ground.
She is screaming blue murder. She did not expect that shit. If it's one thing that I've learned, it's that the secret weapons, come on, will eventually, come back to bite you on the ass. I'm the leader of the ninjas.
And she rolls around on the ground, and because this is Hong Kong and this is the Philippines and the South Seas, copyright? What's that? She dies to the Ming the Merciless theme from Flash Gordon. That
and I think they might have used some music from Star Wars or Logan's Run. Or
well, hell, they were fighting
Alien.
The Alien was in there. No, they were fighting to John Barry and Enter the Dragon.
Yeah. Enter the Dragon. Yeah, that's right.
So they have no concept of copyright at all.
Oh, I remember the first time I experienced the no copyright thing was one of those costume epics, and a couple of Chinese guys, like the 18th or 17th century, are on horseback, and it's the Death Star chase, trench run music. I'm like, what the fuck?
It happens all the time in kung fu movies, and it happens here. So, and then Bruce Lee goes over to the poor girl as the Ming the Merciless theme fades, and then rolling credits. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the movie, I think.
It's like mixtapes today, or remixes and shit. This is like predates kind of like almost like hip-hop music with sampling and stuff, although that was happening in music around the same time, but this is definitely sampling.
This is Bruno Mattei if he was Kung Fu dude.
Oh, Lord. Jesus Christ. I completely forgot about him.
All right, so you got a final thought for this thing, man?
Fuck this movie.
All right, I'm a little more generous than that. I'm not totally fuck this movie, but definitely go watch Bruce's Deadly Fingers instead.
Yeah, I mean, I could be a little more prosaic, I guess, that it's a missed opportunity. I was disappointed because I thought I was getting something completely different. Tony didn't know this was basically a ripoff of itself and something else. So, yeah.
All right, we'll catch you next week, kids.
Bye-bye.
Is okay if you like a picture this size. But if you prefer big, clear, sharp pictures, many of them in glorious color, compare this with the feature picture you're about to see on our giant screen.
And that was Bruce's Ninja Secret. Join us here next week when we're going to be watching a movie that actually exploits Bruce Lee while commentating on the exploitation of Bruce Lee. It's going to be Dynamo from 1978. So join us here for that. Then I want you to drop me an email, thevideonastyproject@gmail.com. And until next week, be like water, my friends, and stay evil.